Well, the long-awaited announcement of the 50 series cards have just been announced. We have the 5090, 5080, and 5070, with Nvidia stating that the low-end card, the 5070, will actually beat the 4090 in performance and only at $550 when it comes to cost compared to the 4090 cost, which is a little bit more than that. They also announced DLSS 4, Reflex 2, and Multiframe generation. So a lot of stuff to dig into this video, guys. So if you like this type of videos, like, subscribe, always appreciate it. Let's get right into those details. So last night, CES just happened. It is a major part of the tech industry where they get to jump on stage, showcase all their cool new stuff. And we got a chance to see the 50 series cards in action. And some of the stuff that they showed was actually like rather incredible. This whole thing revealing their new architecture Blackwell, which allows the 50 series cards to have some extra features that maybe your 40 series or 30 series or even your 20 series cards users out there might not have opportunities to use, but showcasing like the crazy stuff that they're doing in the future. Basically, they just took all their features that you already like from Nvidia and they found a way to just make it better, showcasing how you can have these amazing environments at this type of frame rate, which I'm looking at the video right here. The live stream quality was definitely not what it needed to be right there, but showcasing the difference in like standards of different types of materials to see how the lighting interacts with it. Like, it really makes a huge difference when it comes to different materials, how they're able to actually be represented in the game worlds themselves and how they're rendered out. And basically, yeah, like I said earlier, they just took all the stuff that they already are doing and just found a way to make it better. A lot of it utilizing the magic word AI. So let's go down the list. Let's start with the most familiar stuff you guys are probably using the most of is DLSS and ray tracing and what they're doing to actually improve this stuff. Basically, DLSS in this presentation, they used a lot of technical jargon when it comes to how they compute and make things better, but basically it's just better. It's DLSS 4. It's the same type of service that you are very familiar with, but it just does it better. Though the biggest issue with DLSS is that it just kind of smears everything, right? It makes everything look lower res. Well, they showcase here an actual image of like the comparison here on Forbidden West, where you can see the current version of the super resolution, then the newer version of it. Again, this is all kind of using AI to kind of predict frames and textures to just make it look like how you want to expect it to perform. We're using these high-end graphics cards. You can see here specifically with Alan Wake 2 that if you kind of zoom in, you can kind of see like the anti-aliasing kind of jagged edges when it comes to the power lines compared to the new one. Much smoother, much more in line with what you'd expect it to look like. Okay, that's all good enough, but what's the performance looking like? Well, they showed this one right here, which I thought is very important to show. So this is a difference between DLSS 4 off, getting 22 frames, turn it on, you get 87 frames within this singular game. And you can see how much better the visual quality actually is with DLSS 4. Again, this is a compressed YouTube video, so there is that to take in consideration. Let me take my webcam off so you can see a little better. But you get the idea of what we're talking about here. Like, that's a significant boost, but they also tagged this up with multi-frame generation. What frame generation currently does now is that it just basically adds an extra frame trying to predict what the frame that was going to render was going to look like. And for the most part, like, it does a pretty good job. It does add some input latency on there. And again, like, sometimes the image can be a little blurry, but I think we're gonna see massive improvements here. So this is showcasing like the rendered frame and then the generated frame from the predicted AI workflow that they have over there. But now they have the ability to actually triple this right now with 3 frames that can actually predictively render using AI optical flow and actually only have to render 1 actual frame, meaning you're going to see a massive increase to performance. They showcase Cyberpunk 2077 right here in the Ultimate Edition. And just this combination alone, they just kind of really quickly went over it, but you can kind of see just like generally what the difference is, right? DLSS off full RT, you get 27 frames. DLSS 4 on with all the extra goodies, 238 frames. Now this video quality here on YouTube is again not very good because these type of things are really tough to convey over a YouTube video or even on a video like you're watching here right now. It's one of those things you really need to see for yourself to really understand, like, is this something that's going to actually improve my gameplay experience? Well, like I stated earlier, with frame generation comes input latency, and it's enough to where it can really kind of get in the way of the experience, but now that they actually have updated Reflex now, where you have Reflex 2, which is something I think you definitely need to check out. It's really interesting what they're doing with this. Essentially what they're doing is that they're predicting the player's movement and generating what needs to be there, so you have an experience of lower latency, when in actuality they're really just doing more high calculations to really make it feel like it's better. They do some framework. Again, I'm not trying to bore you with all the jargon here. Let me try to explain. They actually do a pretty good job here of showcasing like what they're talking about here. Basically, they're doing like this warp technology, where basically they, again, like, they're predicting the frames to kind of help you feel like you're more in tune with the character. Showcasing here in a game like Valorant, where they have literally like 1 to 2 to 3 millisecond delay when it comes to your inputs, which is just effectively instantaneous, which actually might even feel kind of weird. Here they showcase like what it looks like with their whole in painting, right, where it talks about like generating the areas that are they're predicting, right, where so basically this is what the game is doing, and without kind of trying to cover it up, the white edges are where the warping is happening, so then it helps move your cursor fast to where you want it to go, and then you have the in painting, which kind of cleans up all that mess on there. But that is just wild to think, like, this is what they're talking about with the frame warping and like trying to predict where your character is moving. Like, it's some like instantaneous, like hundreds of calculations a second type of stuff that's happening, but it's wild. And with this test with the finals, which by the way, fun game, you guys haven't tried playing it yet. So with Reflex off, you have about a 56 millisecond delay of input delay. Reflex 1, 27 milliseconds, and that basically cuts it down in half with Reflex 2. Okay, yeah, you probably want to know, okay, how much is all this going to cost me? Well, they actually announced that too. Big surprise, right? They showcase right here. Let me take off my webcam so you can see 5090 being around $2,000, the 5080 being right around $1,000, the 5070 Ti $750, and the 5070 right here being at $550. All available in January, which when I see those price points, I'm like, those are fantastic price points. It makes me want to upgrade, but the big thing is, how much availability is there going to be for these cards? Because if it's in high demand and low stock, that's going to jack that price up super fast. I'm sure we all remember the great chip shortage of 2020 to 2023, right? With the 30 series cards. I remember trying to get this. This was actually like just tough to get a 30 series card. I wanted to get a 3080, but I didn't want to drop $5,000 to do it. I also just hope that this doesn't lead to game developers relying on these tools a little too much. We're starting to see that a bit now as the current generation of consoles are really starting to hit their limits when it comes to graphical fidelity. And now you're starting to rely on things like frame generation, DLSS to hit frame rates so you actually want to hit. Whenever there's a new graphics card launch, guys, it's a big step forward within the industry. It gets me excited to see what's going to be capable moving forward, especially if a 5070 is going to outperform a 4090. Until then, we'll just have to wait and see. Are you guys going to be able to get these new cards? They're going to be coming out here soon. Let me know in the comments if you guys made it this far in the video. Hope I earned your like, maybe even a subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.